It should come as no surprise that one of the most iconic lines in cinema history is, "There's no crying in baseball." My name is Jeremy Todd Shinder. I'm a filmmaker and senior at Syracuse University, and this past semester I've taken an incredible course about the influence of baseball on American culture. For my final presentation, I've decided to create a video that demonstrates just how iconic that film, A League of Their Own, is in the 21st century, and specifically why a reboot that was fairly successful on Amazon Prime was canceled. So, A League of Their Own is a story about the Rockford Peaches, which was a baseball team comprised of women during World War II. When the men went off to fight the war, they decided that to keep morale and spirits high, baseball teams would be sort of concocted of female ball players. And it's a true story. What is very interesting is that although a film came out in 1991, a reboot came out most recently in 2022, but it was canceled. Why? Why? It's a phenomenal show. The look is incredible. The cinematography is gorgeous. The color palette is so vibrant, so saturated. The costumes, the makeup, everything, the hair. But why cancel? I think it's very interesting that in a roundtable interview for Entertainment Weekly, the show creators and star actor producers talk about the influence of queer people in baseball, because it's not a new thing. You know, it's not like all of a sudden we woke up overnight, boom, brand new idea. No, it's been a conversation that's been kept hush hush for a very, very long time now. And it's very interesting how in 2018, when the project began getting greenlit, that it wasn't an issue, but now in 2022, it's a very big deal.
Okay, what are you doing here?
I followed you. I know you're trying to get traded to the Comets, okay? I heard you talking to Beverly.
What? No, oh my God, no, Carson, I was telling her I want to trade rooms. I don't want to be with Esty anymore.
Sure, yeah, that's why you're out here with our opponent.
Why are you laughing? Okay, go, hold on. Carson, look around. Okay? She's like us. What are you talking about? No. Carson from a farm with a hubby at war?
Not from a farm. How did you know?
I've known since that first night at the bar, but also a couple weeks ago you fell asleep in my room with Greta. Rookie.
You and Greta?
Drink up.
Oh, God. Oh, the height. The height. Who does what?
Another fascinating part of the show that the film doesn't explore as much is the relationship between white and black ball players. And even though, you know, women as a whole, as a gender, were being discriminated against, it was doubly as hard for even further marginalized voices to get their skills recognized and their talent shown. This is a clip from one of the episodes where Max tries out for the Negro League team in the same town as the Rockford Peaches, but she doesn't get accepted to play for the Peaches, and she basically puts all her money on the line and tries to compete, and you can see what happens.
can do better.
Give her another one.
Okay. Come.
You can keep this, kid. All right, that's it. Let's go.
I think it's rather interesting to note that one of the producers, Rosie O'Donnell, was a vocal advocate for this new reboot to very specifically target these stories that weren't addressed.
When I watch the show, I can't believe that we're able to have representation. You know, when we did the actual series, we would meet the original members of the Peaches, and they'd be like, 88, and say, this is my roommate Betsy. I'm like, oh, hi, Betsy. Obviously, you played shortstop. She was like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, okay, and how long have you guys been roommates? Oh, 52 years.
And they were very vocal and clear about they were, very much queer and weren't afraid of it, but they knew that they couldn't be vocal advocates for their own sexuality because if it was found out, they were running risk of being removed from the team. And there's a very interesting scene where the girls get beautified in an attempt to hide their sexuality. And I think it's important, and I think the show does a better job than the movie does at showcasing why it's so important to the owner. The owner of the team is a manufacturing genius. He owns a candy bar company and does very well. And he is fearful that if the press finds out that his ball players are queer, then people could boycott his company and no longer buy chocolate bars, which is a valid concern, to be fair. It's unfair to the players, but at the time, that was a fear. People were frightened that people would boycott businesses if found out that they had association with being gay, because it was illegal.
And curtsy. Miss Donnelly, thank you so much, but that'll be all.
I can do it how you'd like me to do it.
I don't believe you can, dear.
Dear, no, it's going to be all right.
Waiting for you after you pack.
Why do you think they're doing all of this, Carson? It's to make sure that we don't look like a bunch of queers. Do you get that? That's what all of this is. Or maybe it just doesn't affect you, Mrs. Shaw.
Gay marriage wasn't officially legalized federally until 2016, and perhaps that was part of the inciting incident for the series to get greenlit in 2018. You never know, though. In addition to talking about queerness, they also go into gender expression. Max, who's one of the main characters, can be described as someone who is non-binary, meaning they don't feel solely restricted by the qualifications that make oneself either female or male and are somewhere in the middle. Of course, it's a spectrum. I'm simplifying for the sake of the scene I would want to show. I'm no expert, not claiming to be at all. But in this scene, Max is with her uncle Bert, who used to be her aunt Bernice. And Bert gifts Max a tailor-made suit to wear for a party. And Max looks at herself in the mirror and realizes that she wants to be somewhere in the middle. She wants to be influenced by both her mother and her uncle. And I think that's a very interesting topic in relation to baseball when it's traditionally associated as father teaching son. But in this moment, we have a character who's choosing to take attributes from both her maternal mother and uncle, that her father, who's been the primary baseball insider, that his influence is not as strong, and yet her ball skills are impeccable.
You know, you hurt me the other day. You hurt my pride.
I'm still figuring out a lot of things, but that's not an excuse. And I'm sorry.
You were in the slacks that I made and the vest. Where's the rest of the suit?
You know, for a long time, I felt like I had to be my mama. And part of me is, but a lot of me isn't. And now I can't talk to her. I don't want to go through that again with you. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Hell, I love it. But this is how I wanted to wear it.
Batter up, hear that call. The time has come for the one and all to play ball.
All right, let's play ball.
I think what stood out for me about the series overall is the commitment to detail and the authentic portrayal and representation of the show. I think the film is iconic because it's about women empowerment at large, and in terms of being a form of encouragement and morale boost during a very, very dark time. But this reboot makes clear that not only were these incredible female ball players doing just that, but they had to struggle with the hidden, secrets that could not get out to the public, because if they were, then they would no longer be able to play the sport that they love at the highest level. And I think that's very interesting nowadays when we relate it to professional athletes, primarily male athletes, who have a stigma that they endure about coming out, fearful that their teammates and the fans will no longer support them, of showing that it's less about the public perception and more about the locker room chemistry, that the players needed to trust each other 100% regardless of their differences in order to make a team successful. And I believe that's true. I think that when a team is being built, regardless of differences, a plethora of differences, we need to be our most authentic selves so that way we can embrace those differences rather than try to mask them. So, to wrap this thing up, I've thoroughly enjoyed researching this reboot over the past, 3-4 months. I think the show is excellent, and I'm really sad that it was canceled. I think the primary reason why it was booted is because although public perception is we're ready to talk about these stories and we're ready for change, the audience test scores sort of disagree. This TV show premiered at Tribeca in 2022, and one of the vocal advocates there was Mabel, who was a Rockford Peach who played, and one of the most interesting things was that she came out at 95 years old.
And said, well, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I'm queer, or she didn't say queer. She didn't say queer because queer was like a not a term.
It like
she
took
was
her a
like
while
a
to come around to that
I
word.
think she's very into it now.
I know.
She's really into queer
Well,
now.
now it's like an empowering term.
Yeah, which is truly like all of a sudden you see that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I see the difference. The difference between Tribeca, which was mid-June, and we're now at the end of July.
Right.
The difference in Maybelle since she came out to us in 2018, but just now,
Come out
publicly, that she is different. There is like a freedom.
To see like a 95-year-old become more confident is like pretty rare. That's a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah, she just like walks. She
I know.
walks with her head up high.
Totally.
And she's like, I'm the captain of the queer community now.
I think baseball is universal. It's American. It's not gender biased, nor is it race restrictive. I think this TV show does a beautiful job of portraying a very different time period than we are currently living in now, but we still have the same struggles that those girls faced. And I think that's important that we can identify those shortcomings as we go on into the future and try to make this world a better place. And as a filmmaker, I do believe that power can come from movements of mediums, of creative art pieces that can inspire change more so than speeches or keynotes, etc. And so I guess my takeaway from researching this project and the whole surrounding discourse about pros and cons of this reboot is that with time, perception changes, but perhaps some people don't. And that's a sad thing to recognize, but some people aren't ready for change. And it sucks because most people, I believe, are, including myself. So I hope that this project has given you some background information on this incredible show. You should check it out on Amazon Prime. Write some great reviews for them because I'm sure they need it. And yeah, I'm Jeremy Todd Shinder. I really enjoyed taking this course. And play ball.